So, picture this. 5 years ago, I finally made my dream come true. I bought a piece of land, 2 quiet acres in a peaceful neighborhood called Willow Creek Estates. It wasn't flashy, but it was mine. I closed on the property, paid my taxes on time, and moved in, excited to build a simple life away from the noise. Everything was going great, until I decided to put up a fence. Nothing crazy, just a little privacy. So I hired a licensed surveyor to mark the boundaries, and that's when everything changed. The guy shows up, does his work, and then he calls me over, looking pale. He says, "Sir, there's something you need to see." He pulls out the map, and right there, in bright red, is a line cutting straight through the massive mansion next door. You know, the one with the infinity pool, the marble columns, and the gold-plated front door. The surveyor says about 1,800 square feet of that house is on your property. I thought he was messing with me. I laughed. I said, "No way. That's impossible." But he wasn't joking. I went home, pulled up the original deed, checked the county records, and sure enough, the legal plat maps from 1982 showed my boundary running right through what is now her living room and guest wing. And here's the kicker. The woman who built that mansion, her name is Diane Whitmore, and she was the president of the HOA, the same woman who sent me a formal letter last year for leaving my trash cans out 10 minutes past pickup time. The same woman who fined someone $200 for painting their front door navy instead of beige. And yet, she goes and builds a $2.5 million palace on my land. And no one says a word? I was stunned, so I went to her, calmly. I brought the survey, the deed, all the paperwork. I knocked on her door and said, "Diane, there's been a mistake. This part of your house is on my property. Can we talk about options? Maybe you compensate me, or we figure out a way to fix this?" She looked at me like I was crazy, smiled actually, and said, "Oh, honey, you're new here. That land's been part of my property for years. The HOA approved the build." I said, "The HOA doesn't approve property lines. The county does." She waved her hand and said, "It's been this way for 7 years. You're not going to do anything about it." That's when I knew this wasn't just a mistake. This was intentional. So I called a real estate attorney. We dug deeper. Turns out, the original contractor had filed a variance request to extend the foundation onto adjacent land, which was my land, and it was denied by the county. But Diane went ahead and built it anyway. And because she was the HOA president, people stayed quiet. No one wanted to challenge her, but I wasn't about to let someone steal thousands of dollars worth of land and get away with it just because she had power and influence. We filed a civil lawsuit for trespass, encroachment, and fraud. Her defense? I didn't know. The survey was wrong. He's just trying to extort me. But we had the evidence. The original deeds, the survey records, even an email from the builder saying, "We're building past the line." But she said not to worry about it. The trial lasted 3 days. I'll never forget the look on her face when the judge ruled in my favor. Not only did I get my land back, every square inch, but the court ordered the encroaching portion of her mansion to be demolished. On top of that, I was awarded compensation for 7 years of lost property value, attorney's fees, and punitive damages because the judge called her actions knowing, willful, and an abuse of authority. 3 months later, I stood on my property and watched as cranes tore down the wing that had been sitting on my land for years. The pool was reconfigured. The guest suite gone. Diane resigned as HOA president. Last I heard, she's trying to sell and move out of state. As for me, I'm building my own home now, right on that spot. Not a mansion, just a peaceful, honest house on land that's truly mine. This wasn't just about property. It was about principle. It was about proving that no matter who you are, no matter how powerful you think you can't just take what isn't yours and expect to get away with it. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, whether it's a neighbor, a developer, or someone abusing their position, don't back down. Get the documents. Know your rights. Fight for what's yours, because justice might take time. But when it comes, it feels really good.